who has a relationship with Fredy. Fredy Dellis. He's one of the developers. A colleague, a working relationship, to be clear. And another one of the founders is Meehan, who's also here joining us. So Audrey will just have a quick talk before we get started. We're going to just play a 1-minute video to give you an intro and a feel for what the project is and what it's going to be.
Sound good? Yeah. We're just really thrilled to be with you this morning to talk about Blue World Voyages and the ship and how all of us can participate. And I was given this honor, I consider it an honor to be here with Fredy and Jean to talk about this because Fredy and I actually have come full circle. We met discussing another ship 10 years ago, 50, oh don't say that, no, not that many years, quite a few years ago. And so I was really, really excited about learning about this new ship. And it's my pleasure to introduce my colleagues here from Compass to Fredy Dellis and to Jean Meehan, right? Meehan. And I just want to ask you both to give us a little bit about your background and how you came to be involved in this ship project.
Well,
Fredy or Jean?
I'll start. So I've spent 30 years in the sports, fitness, health, spa business. I've owned and operated spas, health clubs, sports centers, and I married into the cruise industry. My wife is the largest charterer in the cruise industry. Her name is Joyce Landry. We're both locals here from Coconut Grove. And thanks to Joyce, I've probably been on 60, 70 cruises in my life. And we're both very, very active. So whenever we're in ports of call, and even sometimes on ships, we find something different to do. We do our own thing when the ship's in port. We'll find a great hike. We'll find something different. So what we're doing with this ship has never been done before. We're 100% focused on sports and wellness. And my partner, Fredy Dellis, is the only person in the world to do one of the things that we're doing, which is create a hybrid ship. 225 passenger cabins plus 40 owners' residences.
I'm Fredy Dellis, originally from Europe. Been here in the States for more than 20 years. In fact, at that time, yeah.
Way back.
Audrey. What I did in the first part of my career was getting involved into managing large multinationals, especially on the international side, the Hertz Corporation, Burger King, and also being the CEO of Europcar in Europe. But at some point of time, decided to be an entrepreneur, and that's why I joined a group of Norwegian investors to do the world of residency. And that was a bit over 20 years ago, as a matter of fact. It was a very interesting concept in terms of that we were selling for the first time in the world residencies on board a vessel. And from a product standpoint, that's been an outstanding success, and the ship keeps in fact on traveling the world. And then I got involved into selling resort real estate in different parts of the world, very successfully with my company up to about 2008, where the market just disappeared. But what's more important is that I met through Joyce, his wife, Jean, about two and a half years ago. Yeah, I'll speak a bit louder. Yeah, okay. 2.5 years ago, and when Jean explained to me the concept that he had, I said to myself, today that makes a lot of sense. People are looking, in fact, for a better sense of life in terms of taking care of themselves and doing the right thing, not only eating the right thing, but also exercising. And also the component of residencies attracted me very much. So I joined him, and since then, in fact, we've been working on this project, and we're getting very close, in fact, to have it done, or started more exactly, towards the later part of this year and next year.
Good. Tell us a little bit about the physical structure of the ship, the size of the bedrooms, how many there are, and in number, and also size.
Well, there's two categories. So we have passenger cabins, and then we have owners' residences. So I'll tell you about the passenger cabins. What we're doing is we're doubling up existing cabins on the ship, so that all of our passenger cabins will be suites. They'll be 280 square feet. Each will have a French balcony, beautiful big walk-in closet where you can store all of your sporting golf clubs, tennis rackets, hiking gear, anything like that. Beautiful big bathrooms. We'll also have 25 single suites, because we think there'll be a big response from the passenger side for people who want to travel alone on this ship. So very few ships have created single suites, but we'll have 25 of them. So they'll also be good size, probably at least over 200 square feet. So the passengers' cabins will be beautiful and all brand new.
Then we have 40 residencies, and they will be located on the two top decks of the vessel, just below, in fact, the swimming pool deck. Not only will have the residence, but we'll have, in fact, a concierge area, we'll have a bar, restaurant, and we'll have also a private terrace for the owner. What we're selling is a 25 years right of use. It's like a long leasehold. And that makes sense because the vessel is already, in fact, an average age of about 20 to 25 years. We're going to refit the vessel completely. So it makes sense, in fact, to have another 25 years of right of use. The price point for that right of use would be for one bedroom, which is 850 square feet, $2,350,000. For a two bedroom, which is 1,200 square feet, it would be $3,350,000. So what we have started to do earlier this year is really initiate a registration program through a website that's dedicated to the Owners Club. And we have had so far more than 300 interested parties that have registered. And what we're going to do now, and more importantly with your help, the Compass help, is go back to those 300 and plus. As a matter of fact, we want to reach 400. It would be a ratio of 10 to 1. 400 interested for 40 residencies. We're going back right now to all those registered owners, and we ask them to start to put a small deposit, refundable at any time. So we'll be able, in fact, to identify the people that are really genuinely interested. We can't go into formal commitment yet because we have not secured the vessel. And that will be done, in fact, and we will explain that a little bit later. But at least by doing, in fact, this second stage of the registration program with a nominal deposit into escrow, that will show us amongst the 300 and hopefully the 400 at a later stage, who are the ones that really meaningful in terms of buying at some point of time.
And what kind of money are you asking for those people to show seriousness? Just an example on the $2 million unit. To use a small deposit, you said, what is a small deposit?
Right now, let me go, there's two steps. So that step was the 300 people that have registered. We're only asking them $10,000 into escrow for one bedroom and $15,000 for a two bedroom. So it's not a lot of money, and most of those people say, okay, we will do it. Ideally, we'd like to have a 10% response. That would be, in fact, 30. That would be, in fact, very, very good. But let me move now to the next step. The next step would be, of course, when we have secured the vessel, which we hope would be late this year, early next year, at which time we're going to start to officially sell the residencies with all the legal documentation. Some of you are familiar with that. And then we will ask them to put a 25% deposit that will go into escrow. 6 months later, another 25%. And at the end of next year, before the refit of the vessel will start, another 25%. And when the ship is delivered in the second quarter of 2021, then the final, the balance, and then the
And then essentially the closing will take place.
Absolutely.
I see. And tell me a little, excuse me, Chief.
One thing, if you feel that you may have missed the boat literally, one of the big cruise lines that you all know has offered us 3 identical ships. So our plan is to get this first ship started and then quickly start on a second and a third. So there'll be plenty of units available within a short time.
And I understand there's a component to this that one can actually sublease, if you will, put it in a rental pool, much as many of the other condominiums in the luxury resorts such as Fisher Island has. You can buy a small condominium on the beach and put it in a rental pool, and that you are also going to provide that, are you not?
Absolutely. We will offer the owners a rental program that Blue World will manage. We have estimated that if they put their unit for about plus or minus 23 weeks per year into the rental program, they will be able to cover their annual maintenance. And I know by experience that the owner, their friends and family will not stay on board as an average for more than 5 or 6 months at the most on the vessel. So the maintenance are pretty heavy because of course it's a moving real estate, it's a ship. For a 1-bedroom, it will be around $200,000 a year. For a 2-bedroom, slightly over $300,000 a year. But as I said, renting that unit to our rental program for 23 weeks a year will cover that maintenance.
Plus, if you're in our rental pool, you'll be able to use the identical unit that you have on ships 2 and 3. So if you want a 1-bedroom, you can use a 1-bedroom on ship number 2 and ship number 3, and they'll be all in different bodies of water.
And that brings up the next point, which is talking about your itineraries. Obviously, you're going to have ideally 3 different itineraries going in different locations. Let's talk a little bit about that. Where do you envision the first ship going that would be exciting for the guests?
We're going to pick our itineraries by where we can find the best sports. And to us, sports are hiking, cycling, golf, tennis, running, water sports. But we're also very interested in locations that offer us great farm-to-table food, cultural opportunities, educational opportunities, and things like that. So most likely the ship will never sail out of Miami. Our plan is to sail around the Mediterranean to start. So we'll maybe spend a month in Spain and Portugal, a month in France, maybe focusing on Corsica, a month in Italy, Greece, and then Ireland, England, Scotland, the Baltics. When it's too cold, we'll most likely reposition the ship into South America, Chile, Peru, Costa Rica.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about also what are the real advantages of buying versus, say, being a guest? You just wanted to go be someone's guest.
Let me go back to the previous question as it relates to the itinerary. One of the things we are going to do as well is get out of the beaten path. When you cruise, and many of you have done it, I'm sure you have been to some ports that are extremely well known, and suddenly you have 3 or 4 or 5 of those mega ships there with about 1,000 buses waiting for the people to be moved. Our vessel that today accommodates 1,500 cruise passengers in their existing mode. Within, in fact, our mode, it will be a maximum of 525 passengers, which means that we will be able to anchor in many different places without any problem moving the passengers ashore. We don't have necessarily to dock like all the major cruise lines are doing in the major ports. So we'll be out of all the mega ports and going into places that have more interest for us and for our passengers, not only for sporting activities, but discovering, in fact, farm-to-table food and all kinds of different interests.
Mm-hmm. When you have been designing these itineraries and activities, how do you envision your, as realtors, we're always thinking about, to whom do we pitch our projects? Who are the very best prospects? How do you, just describe for us your ideal person who would purchase on your ship?
Well, it's a lifestyle decision, and we're finding that of the 400 folks that have already registered, they like the idea that they can use this to keep themselves healthy, their family healthy, their friends, family, business associates. So for people who are passionate about health, that's what's really different about our ship. Well, the real differentiator in the industry is that every cruise, 100% of our passengers are like-minded. They're either already fit and healthy, or they're looking to become more fit and healthy. So there's nothing like it in the industry right now.
And you talked a bit about a spa. Can you delve into that a bit? Go into the details, and have you branded it? Do you have a brand name that's going to lead the spa?
Not yet. We have an entire deck that we're dedicating to spa. So if you picture a cruise ship, you'll typically have a pool deck, and forward and aft of the pool deck are different structures. That entire deck will be spa for us. Di Trieste from Canyon Ranch is on our team. She spent 15 years running all 3 of their properties on the spa side. Bob Smith is probably the best spa designer in the world, also from Canyon Ranch. So I think you can tell there'll be a lot of Canyon Ranch influence on the ship. We haven't found a spa company that we want to work with for one reason, and we're still open to it, but we're probably going to be offering spa as an incentive for a lot of passengers. I'll give you an idea. We're working with a lot of strategic partners. Oxygen magazine is one of them. They did a story about us, and in their story, they offered their readers a $150 spa credit if they would register with us. 3,000 people signed up in 1 week. So we'll probably use spa as an incentive, so most passengers coming on board will have a certain number of spa credits up to whatever dollar amount we decide. So running it ourselves makes more sense, provided that it's fantastic.
I see. And how many restaurants are you having on board?
There'll be 4 restaurants plus a breakfast and lunch buffet. And we've had the good fortune to start surveying some of our passengers. We asked them what they wanted, and we gave them some choices, obviously. The #1 response was farm to table. And we'll be sailing through some of the best food regions in the world, and we'll make sure that our ship will get there the day of the farmer's market, so we can work our itinerary to suit us. Second choice was Asian. Third was Italian. And we have 1 restaurant that we have to figure out what we want to do with it.
Oh, sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Those young people who are most fit obviously might have children. Do you have any provision for children on board this ship?
Well,
Tough question.
Tough question.
When you look at the purpose of the vessel and what is going to be the interest of the passengers or the owners, it doesn't make much sense, in fact, to bring small children. Teenagers that are wealthy, that are healthy
And they need
and wealthy, there will be, of course. Teenagers that are healthy would, of course, be welcome with their parents, but
Small children, no provision.
doesn't make much sense.
And the other lines do such a great job with kids. They design all kinds of
Oh, yes,
facilities
of
for
course,
kids.
of course.
We wouldn't be doing a service for parents with young children.
Right. You're giving them an opportunity to get away, if
Yeah.
you will, and
Yeah.
stay fit. And
16 plus.
I see. Okay, perfect. Well, as realtors, of course, we want to sell these units. So let's talk about the practical aspects of a realtor getting involved. What's first steps that you would say to my colleagues that want to register their top clients?
I think the first step is really to think about your customer, your database of customers, and I'm talking about a high net worth individual. We're talking about a price point of $2.3 million or $3.3 million. It's not a lot of money. And obviously when you look at the real estate of today, those prices could be considered as average almost. So it's really to identify within your database those customers that you feel have the wherewithal to pay that kind of property. Also that have a propension to take care of themselves, are fit, or a little bit their lifestyle, and register those customers. That's very important. I've had a lot of brokers that have registered themselves into our website, but most of them, in fact, do not register those few customers. If you go on the website, which is blueworldownersclub.com, you're able to register yourself and to register up to about 5 customers. And that's what I really would recommend, is that you look at your database, register those customers, and those customers will be entered into our database under your name. So whatever happens in the future, when it comes in fact to selling to those customers, you're totally protected as far as the commission is concerned.
Very well. And what is the commission, speaking of commissions, that you will be paying to the brokers, the individual brokers?
Well, that's really a question that's more addressed in fact to the home bus.
The cooperating commission is 5%.
Okay, excellent,
Yes.
excellent. That should incentivize all of us to get going on this. And also, that will be just at closing, as we clarified, when actually we do
Yes.
indeed close the property. Do you have anything else you would like to add before I open it up for questions and answers? I think many of you might have questions about the show.
I'm sorry, what was the website, Blue World Owners?
Blue World Owners Club.com.
Club.com.
And for general product information, blueworldvoyages.com.
Okay, let's open the floor to questions. Do any of you have specific questions?
Yeah, it's nice to see you guys again. We met a long time ago. Can these units be homesteaded and are they sort of state tax sheltered?
No. The ship will be under a foreign flag, most probably the Bahamas, so it cannot be in fact homesteaded.
Good question. Anybody else?
You had mentioned-
Carol?
So if you purchase a 2-bedroom and you want to bring guests aboard, can you, to stay with you?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, of course there is a limit to how many people you can put into your 2-bedroom, but yes.
Sure, okay.
And if you wanted to bring additional guests, you could just rent passenger boats. Yeah.
And what about port fees? Are any fees associated with your guests?
Not to owners, that's included in the price of the owner's
Okay.
residences.
Okay.
And our port fees will depend on where the ship's sailing. Our 7-night cruise will be about $3,500. That would include the port fees. Also, wine and beer with lunch and dinner, internet access, laundry service, all of our restaurants will be included in the price. Many of our shore excursions, not all of them. Also 3 signature events per cruise, and that would be just a very special event either on shore or on land, depending on where the ship is.
And that would be registered with a travel agent separate apart if someone wanted to sign up for a cruise, and presumably you could then pick this up anywhere in the world where the ship is in port, is that correct?
No, you have to meet us at a destination
I
port.
see, okay.
And there'll be an embarkation and a debarkation port.
Okay.
But we're not going to be a typical cruise line where you have to get back on the ship by 5 o'clock. Many nights we'll be staying overnight in port or late in port so you can experience what nightlife is in these beautiful areas.
Does anyone else have a question you might like to
Yes.
ask?
I think I heard you said the life expectancy of the ship once they take it over is about 20, 25 years. Then what happens?
That's my question.
That was your question too?
That was my question.
My fault.
The life of the ship could be very, very long because the ship is being maintained at all times. As it's being run, in fact, you have a deck and engine operation that keeps in fact on moving engines and replacing parts all the time. So a ship that's well maintained, you can easily keep it running for 50, 60, 70 years. The problem with age is much more the design of the vessel, and that's the obsolescence of the design of the vessel, because 25 years or 30 years from now, you can imagine the ship would have probably a very different shape and different design than what we have today.
But then
So-
my question was what happens to your investment
Okay,
in
no,
that
I'm
ship?
coming to that. So the 25 years right of use, it's, as I said, it's like a long leasehold. So at the end of the 25 years, and I can tell you that the customers are not asking about that,
Okay.
because they think that they're not gonna own it in fact for 25 years. So at the end of the 25 years, the lease is finished. What we have in mind is that as the operation continues, that we will probably have newer ship coming within that 25-year period, and we will give the opportunity to the owners of the first vessel or second vessel to move in fact to the newer vessel that we would in fact put in operation at that time. Jumping ship. So jumping ship if you want, yes.
Yes, it was.
But we also expect that some folks will keep their unit for 5 years. They may put it on the market. So far, the world residency units are appreciating. we will ask for first right of refusal if someone wants to put their unit up for sale, and then they can go on the market with it.
That's a very important point. I remember when selling the residencies on board the World, and we could not answer that question really. If I sell my apartment within about 5, 6, or 7 years, what kind of price I would get back? Would I be able to cover my initial investment plus some appreciation to cover the inflation? We didn't know that at that time. If you look at the experience of the World for the last 20 years, they have been able, in fact, to cover not only the inflation, but there's been an interesting appreciation, with the exception of 2008, 2009, of course. But all the time, people that have bought an apartment and selling it very often about 5 or 6 years afterwards, they have been able to recoup their initial investment plus an acceptable appreciation over time. And I think that's what will happen on our vessel as well.
It appears so. Beth, you had a question?
I was just gonna ask you to talk a little bit more about the onboard amenities besides the spa. We talked about the spa, but I think there's other interesting active amenities, so can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we're taking an entire deck and dedicating it to sports and wellness. We'll have where the existing show lounge is now, we're converting that into a functional training gym. There'll be a beautiful spinning studio in that area. There'll be Pilates, TRX, and yoga, all kinds of cardio equipment, and everything you would expect in a beautiful, up-to-date functional training club. We'll also have a medical wellness program, and we're talking to Mayo Clinic, to Cleveland Clinic, and Pritikin. I have my favorite of the three, and we'll let you know which one happens. But ideally, we'd like this to be a person's annual wellness checkup. Fredy, for example, goes to Cleveland religiously every year, and he counts on them. We'd like our ship to be that same opportunity. So we have a beautiful sports deck, beautiful spa deck. We're also putting in a floating lap pool. You may have seen it from some of our videos. It goes alongside the ship. We'll have a lot of athletes on board, and there's no way to really swim on a cruise ship. The pools are tiny, so we're putting a rigid inflatable alongside the ship when we're docked in port. It'll be a regulation lap pool, 75 feet. It has a net, so it's shark deterrent, but not shark proof. But we're not going to be sailing in shark areas anyway. So, and the ship will have lounges, restaurants. We'll have a bar. We're probably going to have a casino, but not the type of casino you'd find on a typical cruise ship. Our casino will be only open maybe 3 nights out of a 7-night cruise, and we'll do table games, sports betting, but no slots, no people smoking, nothing like that. Just a whole different experience. And there'll also be edutainment. We're not sure yet what we're going to do, but it'll be unique.
Does anyone else have a question you might pose? Yes.
Financing.
Financing. Tell us about financing, if one wanted financing.
No, we do not offer financing, so the potential owners have to provide their own financing.
We'll have to speak with Compass. They seem to have a lot of money these days.
Are you financing them?
Compass is offering just this morning bridge loans to people with respect to purchasing their ideal home before they sell their home.
We think our buyers will be second, third homeowners. This is not going to be a primary.
That would be a very good guess, given all we've heard this
I
morning.
have a question. In terms of the investment, so the buyer buys, for example, 1 bedroom, right? And the idea is that they can rent it in the future, right? And you mentioned that that will cover the maintenance for a year. There's a profit right there after that? I mean, for the...
Yes, if you think, well, first, the customers we're talking to generally are not looking this as an investment. They're looking at that as a lifestyle, but you're right.
They're gonna use it, but also they're not gonna use it for a year, so they're gonna rent it.
Absolutely. So if you rent it through our rental program for 23 weeks,
Right.
you cover, of course, your maintenance.
Yes.
If you rent it for longer than 23 weeks, obviously there will be, in fact, money coming back to you. But there is one thing that we need, in fact, to identify is how we're going to get that money. Is it going to be for facilities, for food, for drinks and so on board the vessel, and spending on board the vessel,
Okay.
or is it going to be a return, the money, the cash going back, in fact, to the owners? that's still a question that needs in fact to be debated.
And we might give the owner the option of either one, where they can, if they have excess money, we put it right towards their account, or they can just get a check from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we have, yeah.
Will they need to
We'll take two
insure?
more, okay, folks?
Will they need to insure their cabin?
Insurance?
No.
No.
No, because it's.
No,
The
they-
boat, the,
No, when it comes to the insurance, everything is being covered by the price that we talked about, 2 million to 3.3.
we'll take one more question, then we're gonna have to wrap it up. Anybody else have one? Yes, Angie?
Yes, hi, thank you for sharing this, it sounds like a really exciting project. I think I know it's in the preliminary phases, but something that I would like to find out if you've already discussed is, you mentioned Pritikin relationship and some other decisions you're gonna make on that. Is that something that will be available as far as health facilitators on board ship for
Yes.
passengers that may need medical attention, should that come up? Because I know they're all gonna be extremely healthy, and should probably won't need any, but
No,
in the event that
But
somebody
there
needs
could be
medical
that shark,
attention.
that,
Yeah.
there could be that shark in the pool.
Yeah, no, every ship has a hospital and a physician on board, but we'll go a little bit further than that. So we'll have a physician, we'll have a nutritionist, we'll have nurses, we'll have exercise physiologists, trainers. So, but yes, our doctor will do both.
And then security would be the only other question, if you've reached any decisions on how to secure passengers. In other words, if you enter a port, I know you're having a registry that's in the Bahamas, so you're gonna be under probably Bahamas registry. But as you sail around the world, or should you encounter something where you have to secure your passengers, and you address that in any way?
Well, we're hiring a very experienced deck and engine operator. That takes a lot of jobs away from us that we really don't want to do and don't have the experience for. Security falls under their category for sure, and they have a phenomenal safety record. So we'll bring that up at the next meeting.
Thank you.
We'll have some pretty high-profile people on board, so we have to
Yeah,
take
one
it
more.
very seriously.
Thank you.
No, we don't. Well, we're about to wrap up here. Freddie, you would like to maybe summarize from you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I would like to go back to what I mentioned earlier in terms of registration of your customers. I think it's very important that you identify those customers in the database, but it's more important that you talk to the customer as well, because we want to make sure that when you register that customer, the customer himself knows in fact what you're talking about, that it is not in fact a traditional cruise operation, that it is dedicated in fact to active lifestyle and so on. So that's important for us, because then we can in fact move that customer into our registration database and communicate directly in fact with them. If you put somebody that's not aware that he has been listed under your name, and sometime in the future receive something from us, then it's going to be quite surprised. So it's very important there is a good communication, that you register the customer first, and you have a communication with those customers, so we can keep on feeding them information about how the project is going. And at the same time, as I said earlier, you're totally protected, because that customer in our database is registered under your name, whatever happens.
Excellent point. Well, on behalf of my colleagues and myself, thank you so much for taking time to come over and share with us this morning. And let's all give them a round of applause.
Can I add just a couple of things?
Surely.
Today, all of the Blue World marketing assets go up on Marketing Center. So you'll have the ability to do emails, social media posts, print postcards and flyers, all on Blue World, branded to you, so that you can send them out to your database, so that you can register them. Also with registration, because we're still in the first week after the real deal, if you register yourself and your client in these next 2 days before Thursday, you'll be eligible for a week's cruise on the ship. So we have a drawing, so register today, yeah, and Vanessa wants me to remind you again, it is 5% commission. So if you register yourself, you can also register your clients. As Fredy said, someone will be contacting them, so you should first make sure that you've spoken to your clients, that you've registered them, so it doesn't feel so random. So get those Marketing Center going, make a few calls, register, and hopefully you'll win the cruise. And again, reminder, it is 5% cooperating commission, and I think that everybody here should have at least one person they can sell something to. And then we'll be sold out.
Thank you, Beth. I think